Hello, this is the introduction to my video about basics of Android programming. In the intro, I'll go over what kind of skill I'm using, what website I'm using, the website I'm using, the setup that I'm using, and the phone I'm using. I'll go over some quirks about Java for people that are coming in from C++ or C Sharp. And I'll go over a simple Hello World program that doesn't actually require any coding, just starting up Eclipse and using the wizard to generate a program. So the first slide, the language I'm using is actually Java, but if you just want to follow along, C Sharp or C++ is sufficient. I'm using an Android phone. I'm not using an emulator, so this programming is actually done using Android phone. The website I'm using is the Android developer website, and I'll just talk about this briefly. So this is the Android developer website. If you click on develop, they have primarily they have reference API guides and training. The most helpful section is going to be the API guides, because reference is they just list all the functions, they don't talk about it. API guides tend to have in-depth knowledge about a particular topic. So the API guide is pretty focused. Like for example, here I am, user interface, input control, text fields, and this whole article, this whole page is going to be about text fields. Training tends to bundle a lot of topics together. So for me, that was too fast. Like they introduced too many topics too quickly. So I mostly use API guides. Setup, I'm using Eclipse on Windows 8.1. In the future, the best IDE is probably going to be Android Studio, but currently Android Studio is still in beta, so I'm sticking with Eclipse. When you're using Eclipse, there's a lot about Eclipse, right? It goes on and on, but just focus on a couple basic things about Eclipse listed here. So it's Eclipse. So first thing I want to mention is you do need some code recommenders or some kind of plugin for Eclipse IntelliSense. So just code recommenders is an Eclipse plugin you can get from here. They'll tell you how to get it. Now what that does, it does a whole bunch of things, but what I'm interested in, what I'm mostly interested in is subword search. So I'll give a brief example of that. So suppose I have a button. So b dot, if I type in click, see I type in click, right, and I get all these results that has to do with click. The click is a subword. It's part of this function pointing in at a perform click. Actually, the one people use most often is this on click listener. So I can type in a part of this function name and then have it found in a list. So that's what this code recommender subword search thing do. So I'll show you where it is. Preferences, code recommenders. After you install code recommenders, you turn it in here. So you remember that click thing, because I had this subword search turned on. See, if I don't have, I just turned off the subword search. Okay, if I type in click now, actually there's nothing. CL, if I type in I at this point, none of these will match, and there'll be nothing. So without the subword search, like by default in Eclipse, you have to type in the whole thing from beginning to end. You can't just type in some word or phrase in the middle and then have it come up. So that makes it really hard. Okay, that's the default behavior of Eclipse. That's why you can't just use the Eclipse default. You have to install code recommender or something similar to have this subword search feature to allow you to explore the API. Without it, it's no use. I mean, it just what was the last one I have to set on click listener or something? Yeah, so I have to type in the whole thing. If I want to find this function, I have to type in SETONCLICK. I have to type it in from the very beginning. Okay, instead of just typing. Now I'll re-enable it again. So correct enable subword search. See, with this I can just type in click and then one of the possibilities here. Okay. So that's a vital add-on. Eclipse has lots and lots of features and shortcuts, but the two shortcuts that you really need and that I keep on using in this video tutorial is the Control Space and the Control Shift O. Get rid of that. Get rid of that block. So Control Space is the what they call content assist. Content assist. So it's equivalent to the IntelliSense from Visual Studio. So Control Space, I just press Control Space and this list of suggestions, possibilities pop up. It also, that's Java, right? So it also works in the XML. So I press Control Space and this stuff pops up. So I type in ID and I have this thing here. So now the cursor's here. So I'm gonna press Control Space again. So I'm gonna choose an option. So Control Space for content assist is really useful. And this other thing is automatic import, Control Shift O. These are the default shortcuts. So for example, I have a button here. I've pressed save. Then it's already imported. Suppose it's not imported, right? Okay. Right now it's like a button cannot be resolved to type because there's no import. See, there's no import here. So I just press Control Shift. Oh, move this. Control Shift O, and this import will pop up here. If I delete this, press save, they'll say the import is never used because I deleted the button. In this case, you press Control Shift O again, and this will disappear. Control Shift O. So you won't see me typing in import. So you won't see me typing in, actually going into the import list and typing in the import, because that's because I'm pressing Control Shift O and it's bringing in the import automatically. The phone I'm using is the Galaxy S2, but it's the Skyrocket. It's one of the first LTE phones available here in the US. So it should be. It's the important thing is that this one is using Android 4. So Android 4 is a big milestone, and a bunch of stuff that works on Android 4, a lot of these API functions that works in Android 4 won't work in previous Android versions. So, but nowadays, if you get a new phone, it's going to be Android 4. This is about two of Java's language cores, because in the prerequisites I mentioned that I'm using Java, but if you just want to follow along, C# or C++ would do. So the two things unique about Java versus C++ or C#. One thing is that they only have one public class per file. So this is file. So if I try to create another public class, that's not gonna work. Oh, I didn't do that. Right? What's the error? The public type must be defined in its own file, so only one public class per file. But you could have a class, like that. So, and that's kind of unique to Java. So what happens is inner classes. So because people can't do this, you can't do this, right? One public class per file, right? So well, you can do two files. You put this in a file by itself, or you stuff it inside here to avoid creating too many files. I mean, you don't want a whole bunch of files where each file has like 5 lines or something. So simpler classes tend to be inner classes because of that limit. So that's a workaround. The other issue is Java does not have the protected keyword. So kind of like have this chart here comparing the languages that I mentioned in the prerequisite slide. Java protected is equivalent to the internal keyword from C# and sort of similar to public from C++, but not exactly the same. So go over here. I'll do that again. Do the my class thing again. Protected X, right? Oh. So you can actually access this X. Right, so you can actually do this. Right, so this will actually work. You can in protected in other languages, protected means it's kind of like private and it can be accessed via the subclass, but in Java, in protected, it's sort of like public in the sense that you can access it outside, just like this, right? So protected in Java is quite different from protected in C++ or protected in C#. Okay, it's accessible from outside of the class as long as you're in the same package. So if you're in a different package, you have a different file, and this package is something else, then you can't do this. But all the stuff I'm using here are really simple demos, so all of my stuff is going to be in the same package. So protected is accessible. Okay, so just talk about hello world. Actually, the most up-to-date information is gonna be on this thing. You go to training, so this is one place where training has the best information. Build your own first app. Create this. They have like pretty detailed instructions on how to do it. So I won't go into the details, but I just want to talk about the high-level view. You want to download ADT. That's the Google tool. Android Developer Toolkit. The JDK is the Oracle tool. I guess they're not bundled together. I guess for legal reasons, probably. It's 2 separate downloads. You might have to download debug driver, but for my older phone, my phone is pretty old, right? So it's like 2011. Yeah, that phone I have to download debug driver, but I have a newer tablet that I don't have to download a debug driver. So that's why I say it's maybe. Okay. They're going to have a list of websites somewhere in this. Let me see if I can find it. Yeah, it's right here. So you go to build your own first app, and they talk about how to create a project, and they'll talk about how to run it. So if you want to run it on a real device, like running it on a real device, right, running your application, they have this option of running on a real device or running on emulator. Of course, so we want to run it on a real device. What good is emulator, right? Over here they'll have this link, OEM USB drivers, and you just go there, go to the link, and then the different operating systems too. Anyways, the OEM USB driver website, they go different operating system, but you could keep going down. They have all these vendors. So I have a Samsung phone, so I just go Samsung. and just go to find the product and they have a download. That's where you get the driver. But like I said, my newer Samsung tablet doesn't require a driver. I just plugged it in. It seems to work. And it's not because it's using no driver or anything. It's a completely different PC that doesn't have any debug driver on it, and so I'm sure that some devices don't need a debug driver. So your first step is to enable debugging on the phone. So again, you need to go through the website. So it's against that same page, running your application, run it on a real device. Oh. So, enable USB debugging, right? That's what I'm saying. Enable debugging on the phone. So it's different for different versions of Android. So there's one here. There's one here. This is one I have because I'm Android 4.0. And on my new tablet, it's Android 4.3, I think. You have to hit the build number 7 times. So just follow the directions. It's, what are they going to think of next, right? I mean, how do you know hit the build number 7 times? I mean, hit the build number 7 times in such and such menu. So for this part, enable this part needs to look up on the internet for the latest way to do that. Even after your phone has the debug enabled, when you plug your phone into the computer, it's going to have this dialog box on the phone that says a computer is trying to hook up to your phone. Will you allow it? And you have to hit OK. So even though the phone debugging is enabled, you still have to enable. You have to give permission to the, to the connection to the computer every time you use a new computer. So if you move from computer A to computer B, you have to say yes, this computer can hook up into my phone. And then if you move back to computer A, you still have to say, oh yes, you have to. This computer is safe. It doesn't remember which computer is safe or which computer is not safe. Okay, every time you change a computer, you have to say, a dialog box will pop up on your phone, asking you, asking for your permission. And that's it. And I'll go over how to create Hello World. Since I'll do it only once. All my examples in this. Just close all. Right click, close all. No. Here, showing you how to close a project, I guess. I'll only go over this once. Close project. Select it, hit the delete key. There's nothing there. New Android application project. I always use the same name for like the whole video. So I only show this one time because every time after this is the same. You have to pick the latest else as a warning. But notice that the minimum API is 8. So like some functions are available in later versions of Android. So this is how the Android compilers will check it. They'll check against this. So if you call a function that's not available in API 8, level 8, they'll complain. Okay. And this was by default example. So notice I changed this. So for all the examples in the video, that's all I change. I always use Hello Android for the application name, and I always use Lewis for the package name. And this though I'll change as needed. Okay, like if I need to use a function that's not accessible in API 8, I'll just raise the API level. So this part I'll change. But for all the examples, I can just basically I just keep hitting next. Like, I take all the defaults because all this stuff can be changed later on. But this time I'll go over it slowly. Create an activity. That's like your window basically. Create a project in this location. Yeah. Oh, this one's useful if you want to make your own apps. You choose your icon. You go here and you browse for your own icon, and this is like the easiest way to do it too. It's a little harder if you do it later, but obviously anything that you do here can be done outside of the wizard. I always use a blank activity. Keep it simple. Keep my examples simple, and that's it. Finish. Oh, this is your name. This is like your main window if you come from Windows. What they call it, window 1 or something. Okay, anyways. And hit finish, and that's your application. It can run right away. This application doesn't do anything, so it has this bigger. Basically, it just has a text box that says hello world. You can go ahead and run this right away. Let me see. Okay, so these are like different perspectives I'm looking at here. The way that your phone, I mean, when you go through steps 1 through 4, if the computer is set up properly, you should be able to go to this DDMS perspective, or if it's not available, you can go here, window, open perspective, other perspective. If you don't have it, it's the first time you have to use this thing, right? This is how you choose your perspective here. So after you open it first time, it's going to be available here. Ooh. Anyways, if it's set up properly, you'll see your phone here, and this is like your control panel, I guess, for your phone. You can look at different things, but it's not that useful. I don't use it because of permissions. Like your application data is always going to be in this folder, data folder, but you can't get in because you don't have permission. So, but this is a tool to use for knowing that your phone is connected to your computer properly, because it will show up here in the list. That's what I use it for. You can run it. Debug is this, or run it like that. You run as, then applicable. So okay, click run, I guess. Yeah, so I just click run, and then it's running on my phone. And I'm now trying to bring it on screen. So there is, like I said, there's no coding. I just use a wizard. I took all the defaults and I run it and get this message, which is just this message here. Okay, so that's the intro. So now I'll talk about layouts, and I'll start talking about some layout basics. These attributes here, these attributes are common to all the layouts. No matter what layout you use, they're gonna have width, height, margin, padding, etc. Then I'll talk about linear layout, which is one of the only two layouts you need. I think you only need the linear layout and the grid layout. So after I talk about linear layout, I'll talk about scrolling. Scrolling lets you fit a slightly more stuff onto your screen. So like if you optimize your user interface for a 5-inch screen and you end up displaying it displaying that interface on a 4-inch screen, you're gonna need scrolling, else stuff is gonna get chopped off. Okay, so scrolling is a way to deal with different screen sizes, and there are a lot of screen sizes in Android. Then I'll talk about grid layout. Like I said, the only two layouts I think you really need are gonna be linear layout and grid layout. And I'll pay some lip service to some other layouts too, because they're important in their own ways. So layouts. So this is when you create the Android project, a default project. You get this stuff. You get your layout file. It's in XML. So this is the XML view. It's graphics view. This is just like in Windows. There's a WPF of the XAML. It's the same thing in Android. You describe your user interface in an XML file. Now you can edit a lot of stuff in this editor that they have, the graphical view, but usually it's actually easier to just type stuff in here. So width and height and linear layout. So kind of I won't be going in exact order. It's first let me change this to linear layout, because by default it's relative layout. You can change it like this. Oh, yeah. Wow, that's off the screen viewer. So you go select and then, or this thing, change the layout. That's one way to change it, but like I said, a lot of times it's easier just to type it in, and I can also simplify it this way. Right, so this tag has to match, right? Linear layout, linear layout. Get rid of stuff. It's padding, right? Padding. Haven't talked about padding yet, so let's get rid of that. You don't really need that. I think that's the minimum. Okay. Let me use a button instead of a text view. Okay, so I changed it to a button. So it's a button. Now, this is a string resource, so which is something I'll explain later in some other segment. So for now, I'll just use a hard-coded string. Okay, so I use hard-coded string. Now, when you do that, it's gonna have a warning. Let me bring this back in here. I don't have a warning because, see, I don't have a warning. Okay, see, I don't, problem warnings. I don't have warning here. Okay, I don't have it here because I disabled the warning. So it's here. It's Android lint error checking under the preferences window. So press hard code. Right, so right there. Expand it. Text attributes, string resource. So I set this to ignore. Okay. So if you try this, if you try to replace what used to be here, the string resource, if you try to just hard code in a string, hello world, or whatever, like number one, if you try hard code this and you get warning, that's the place. Okay, preferences, lint error checking, hard code. So well, the warning will say will tell you what will say hard coded text. So that's how you find it. Anyways, linear layout basically pushes things one after the other. So number one, I should call it number two, I guess. Oh, whatever. Call it number one. Oops. Gotta do a bunch more here. Okay, I'll erase this back out. So I have 4 buttons. I just kind of duplicate it. So it's kind of like one after the other. Linear layout has an orientation attribute. So, okay. So right now they're like horizontally aligned. I mean horizontally, you know, like the piled up horizontally. So that must be the default here. Right, orientation, control space, horizontal. That's what making it horizontally stacked out horizontally. The other option, vertical, you know, goes vertically. Okay. So I'll touch on this layout width and layout weight here. Because first, so you can nest layouts. So let me make it horizontal. Horizontal again. Let me copy this. Right. So okay, you only need the namespace, the XML NS. XML namespace, you only need it once. Guess why? Okay. So this is one linear layout, right? With 4 buttons that I have highlighted. Linear layout with 4 buttons, and you can see that. So I'll just copy this whole thing over here. Okay. Vertical. Okay. So wish I can compress this like I can. I can't fold this like in Windows, huh? Oh well. Ooh, that doesn't work. I'll explain the wrap content next. First, I have to get to show on screen. Okay, so there are two sets of buttons. Oh, there we go. Okay, so in here, over here, here's outline. So I have a linear layout that contains 2 other linear layouts, and each linear layout has 4 buttons. There's one linear layout, there's another linear layout, and they're piled inside this linear layout. So you see this blue rectangle, that's one linear layout. So there's another linear layout. So I select a button here, is the blue rectangle. So that's what I have on here currently. Okay, two linear layouts. Okay, so now I can talk about layout width. Also, it's actually for buttons also have layout width. The layout has a layout width, and the controller has a layout width. So it's how far to stretch. When I use wrap content, that means this button is as small as it can be. Okay, so if I make it, so I just double click. I double click on the button. Single click to select. Double click on this. Bring me to the button. I'll make it number 2 or something special. Okay. Because they all look the same. Okay, so button number 2 right now is wrap content. So this button is only as fat as it can be, layout width. So if I just try match parent, fill parent, it will fill up all the space given by the parent. So it's kind of fills it up, right? Kind of like the buttons take up all the space, and these other buttons they're like they're not visible. because number 2 has taken up all the space. So that's what fill parent does. Oh, so by default, I've been using wrap content. That's what. So the other one's match parent. So it's match parent means to match the dimension of the parent. So match parent looks like the same thing, right? Number 2 is filling up this whole thing. And it turns out that match parent and fill parent are like the same thing. One of them is deprecated. So the way I remember this is like this, because the M comes after the F. So match parent is what you want to use. Fill parent is just deprecate. So match parent, if that's what you want, okay, have a button to stretch across the screen. So I'll go back to wrap parent. So that's the layout width, and the same concept applies here, except in this case, layout height. Go over this first. Also same thing, right? Fill parent again is deprecated, so it's either wrap content or match parent, and match parent just stretch it up, all the way. Oh, it's blocked by this. How do I show that? Oh, okay, so what happens is number 2, I guess I was trying to stretch it vertically, trying to make the height match parent, but it's being blocked because the layout is blocking it. So to illustrate that, I can create a new one. Maybe call it number 3 or something. Oh, so you can see. Okay. Okay, so button number 3. Yeah, the other stuff got hidden, but I'm trying to show this match parent thing for height. That's gonna stretch vertically. And it doesn't. Okay, so to get the match parent to show up on screen, I did a little modification. I put this button at the very top. Yeah, because it got blocked by the other ones. Okay, so there. So match parent kind of stretches all the way out. That's for the height. If I use match parent here, it's gonna stretch, all the way across the screen. This makes it stretch all the way top to the bottom of the screen. So there, the whole thing. So okay, there. So that's the demonstration of match parent. So layouts also have wrap content or match parent. It's kind of like this. So for layouts, it's usually wrap content. The match parent is less useful. Like for a button, you want to make it stretch across the screen so it's bigger and easier for people to click on. That's pretty common. But layout is usually wrap content, and if you make a match parent, it basically reserves more space for the layout, but that's usually not what you want. So I kind of try it here. So I change this to match parent. Doesn't do anything. And now I change the match parent. So basically the parent and the linear layout, both of these linear layout, this one you don't see anything highlighted, but this one, you click on this one, you see that blue rectangle highlighted, and this blue thing, this blue rectangle stretches all the way down. And that's why linear layout, these buttons, they don't show up on screen, because this one is using match parent, and that's basically pushing out that second row of buttons off screen. So that's why it does. I mean, but most of the time you want to use wrap content and try to fit as much stuff on screen as possible. Okay. Gravity. This is another one of those when I so to demonstrate gravity. Again, see, it's a lot easier. These things, these attributes, they appear for the layout tag, and they also appear for the control tag. So it's actually easier to demonstrate here. Oops. See, everything is like Android : star. So look, everything is like Android : only style is not Android : okay. So okay, gravity. Bottom. Gravity is how the text on the button align with the button itself. So just demonstrate. Click me. So all the way. So I'm creating a button that's stretching across the whole screen, and click me here. So there's a giant button, and so gravity makes the text align, down here. So without gravity, without this gravity line, the text is gonna be in the middle, right? It's in the middle of the button. But or bottom, what is it? Right? It's like an OR flag. You can, it used to be bottom left, right? Okay. Bottom right or bottom center. Oops. Or bottom center, for example. So that's gravity for this. And for layout, is similar thing too, but it's a little hard to demonstrate. The main thing is for this, actually. Padding, okay. Padding and margin. So I got rid of the buttons, so we're back to the 2 rows of buttons. So you notice that there's a blue rectangle. So there's no padding. Okay, for now. I'm gonna add padding. I'll just add to one side. So 80 dp. Okay, the length units are dp. dp meaning device independent pixel. 1 dp is dimension of an inch. So this should be a half an inch. 80 should be like half an inch. So padding basically puts a space here. Okay. So padding left 80 produce a space that's like half an inch space here. There's also padding top. So it's gonna bump the buttons down by half an inch. So it's vertically half an inch. Or simply padding is gonna put it like 80 inch. 80 dp's on all 4 sides. Okay, so it's like this. So it got cropped out. It's not enough space for the button. So padding describes the extra blank space between this control and the layout. So this layout. Okay. So it's between the child of the linear layout and the linear layout. So the linear layout is this blue rectangle, and padding is the distance between the blue rectangle and the child, the children objects. It's important because margin is different. Okay, that's padding. Margins between this layout and that layout. So, but visually they look a lot alike, right? So margin, let's say margin bottom 80p. So you see it, again, you see this big white space, but it's actually different. It kind of looked like the same because before there was 80, right? And now it's 80, but it's actually different. Before, see, this is, oh, it's got the match parent thing, huh? I was trying to demonstrate. Okay. Oh. Okay. Now. So linear layout, this one, and this is a linear layout. So you see the blue rectangles. Margin is the distance between layouts. So padding is the distance between the blue rectangle and the... let me just put it in both. Let me just put both in. It's padding bottom, but let me make it like 20. Okay, so padding is 20, margin is 80. So padding is the distance between the object, the blue rectangle, and the children. So you see the 20 here. Okay, you see this 20 here. And margin is between the object and the next object. So this blue rectangle and this blue rectangle has this big gap of 80. So that's the difference between margin and padding, even though they kind of look alike, right? They generate white space, basically. But they are different. I did that already, right? Yeah, because things are lined up horizontally. So the outer linear layout's using a vertical orientation. That's why these two linear layout objects are stacked one on top of the other. They're stacked vertically. Okay, so I talked about that already. Layout weight is really important on phones because you want to make your buttons large. So let me just get rid of this. Oh, delete. Oh, what? Oh, now they think it's useless, huh? Yeah, now they're saying that linear layout or the linear layout parent's useless because there's only one child. So it's like, we don't need a linear layout, there's only one child. Okay. And I'll make it horizontal. And it's too many buttons, I'll just make simplify it. Let's go back to 2 buttons. This is a typical case. Cancel and save. There's a cancel button and a save button. It's really typical, right? Cancel button, save button. And to make it easy to click, because the phone is small, you want to make it big, but you want to make it like 50-50. Like you want to have 50% of the distance for cancel and 50% of the screen width for save. So and this thing lets you do that. Layout weight lets you do that. Do the 50-50 thing. Oh, weight. So layout weight 0.5. Now this won't actually work. See if you can. Of course not. Because this thing, right? So the width needs to be match parent. Because this is limiting the width of the. Oh, I hate this. Okay. This thing is limiting it now. Okay, so the height is still wrap content. So the reason you need the match parent thing is to make it wider, because wrap content will limit the width of it. Okay, there we go. So roughly 50-50. They're not exactly 50-50 though. I'll change the example. So that's the goal. That's what this thing almost does, is it makes it almost 50-50, but it's not exactly 50-50. You can see it if you make the text very different. Okay, so now you should see it. Oh, still 50-50. Okay, so I went ahead and changed this back to wrap content again. Yeah, to show it's not. I want to point out this is not exactly 50-50, even though I have a layout with 50-50. So what that ended up doing is that the x's are taking up certain amount of space. The leftover space is being distributed 50-50. Okay. Probably too many of this. So the blank space is roughly 50-50. Like this blank space plus this blank space is roughly equal to this blank space plus this blank space. Okay. So one way to make it 50-50, which is what I accidentally did previously, is I hate this. So make a match parent, and then there is 50-50. That's one way to do it, but the other thing I've seen, like this is not 50-50, right? It's a little bit bigger. The other thing I've seen is that they then use a width 0 dp to override this, because I want to show this also works, and then it's 50-50. Okay, and this is actually, I've seen it. This is a lot more common than the match parent approach, because it's usually wrap content. Oh, the other thing I would say is this one doesn't have to be 0.5. The Android can add things up and redistribute, right? So they can be 1. So make it 3 and 3. So these are actual ratios. It doesn't have to add up to 1. So I made it 3 and 3, and it's 50-50. The weight is the same. Okay. So that's the layout weight. So next I'll go over the scroll view. Well, it's horizontal scroll view. So scroll view must be the vertical scroll view, right? So I should go over horizontal one first. There's fewer buttons involved. Let me get rid of this again. Match content. So the idea is that if I have a lot of these buttons, there won't be enough space, right? Because the phone screen is relatively small. Okay. So add a couple more. Oh, I just showed this on my phone. Let me see. They all look the same. Let me see. 1, 2, 3, 5, 6. Okay, so 6 is not shown, but let me just add a bunch more. Seven, 8. So the idea is that if you add enough buttons, it won't be shown. Not enough space. So you put the scroll view inside of it. Try. So I'm trying to put a scroll view around the linear layout actually. Scroll view. So here's scroll view. Oh, excuse me. Wrong scroll view. Horizontal scroll view, right? This is the horizontal one. Scroll view is the vertical. So hey, it doesn't work. That's bad. But the namespace has to go up. So they'll tell you scroll view does not set, the layout attribute. So go back to this. So I had this match parent thing. So here you won't see it. I have to run this, right? Because this is a static rendering here. So main activity, pull it down here. Oh, I didn't show this in the hello world thing, but I was wondering where's the run configuration. So this is where you get to pick if you if you have an emulator or something, you can pick it here. Active devices only. Okay. So I have it running on my actual phone here. So you can see I can scroll. I can use my hand to scroll horizontally and see all the buttons from number 1 through number 8, like 7, 6. Okay, so that's scroll view. Okay, so press back to kind of exit. What else do I need? Oh, that's horizontal scroll view. So a scroll view is a vertical version of that. I'll just briefly show it. It's here. So it's XML. Scroll view. Instead of horizontal scroll view, I'm using scroll view, which is like a vertical scroll view, and I'll make the buttons go vertical. Height. Because vertical, you can accommodate a lot of buttons actually. So let's kind of make the height taller. 40 dp. Does that work? Or well. Ooh. What does it say? Yeah, so what it seems like I'm my button, if it's inside the linear layout, I can't set the height. See, it doesn't get bigger. Oh, that's how you set height. That's the way. Okay, so that's how you set the height. So if you don't know how to set the height, just do that do that thing where you drag it down and set the height. Does that work? Oh, number 2 is taller too. I just need to do all these, make them all taller so they overflow the screen. Okay. So now they're all tall and it's still. Oh boy. There's still enough space, huh? I have to do like 200 or something. Let me just take a look at this. So I'm making the buttons really tall, so it'll overflow the screen for sure, so I can demonstrate the scroll viewer, vertical scroll viewer. No, that's Windows scroll view. Okay, so hey, it's been kidding me. It still shows all 8. Yeah, right. Well, I have to run it. I don't think so. There we go. See, does not show all 8 buttons. Can I scroll it? So you see me scrolling. It's just a lag. It's not completely smooth. Animation and all that. Okay, so there. So I scroll all 8 buttons. Okay, back. So that's the scrolling. Oh, grid layout. Makes me want to start over again. So just get rid of all stuff. Too much junk. Okay, grid layout. So grid. Wow, I have to type it in the exact case. Okay, so grid layout. Doesn't. Oh. Okay, so when I change the grid layout, here we go. Okay, this requires API level 14, and like I said, I create all these examples using all the default stuff on Eclipse, and so grid layout is something that's requires level 14 API. That's Android 4.0. Let me show you where. Shrink the Eclipse back here. So when you create your project, there's this thing that lets you set the API level. It's currently 8, and that's what's triggering the error, because I have to support API 8. That's what this thing is saying. Okay, it's actually easier to just go to the down here, go to XML file and just edit this. But if you want to do it in the GUI, this is how you do it. Manifest this, and again, this is the Android manifest file. So in XML view, you can set this to 14, and the error will go away. Okay, because it requires 14. Yeah, it won't run for 8. So this is saying that. So now my application is more restrictive, right? Before my application will run from will run on older devices, and now I make it 14, so it will only run on newer ones, because I need the newer API. I need a newer Android for this grid layout to work. Okay, so that took care of the error. So no more errors, right? No more. So row count and column count is how many cells you intend your grid layout to have. Grid layout lays out things in the grid, so like a table. So how many rows and columns? Row count. Let me say 4, and also column count, right? Column also 4. layout row, layout column, that's what you apply to controls inside the grid. So again, I'm gonna put a bunch of buttons. Button, and we always need that you know, that wrap content thing. Let me say 0, 0. Okay, I'm gonna position this at the 0th row and 0th column. The counting starts at 0. Okay, layout row 0. Layout column 0. Oh. Oh, hate that. Layout column 0. Okay, and let me create another button. So this is one button. I just copied it. Let me say row 1, column 1. Okay, so 2 buttons. You can see it here. Yeah, so I have a button that's allocated, that's located at row 0, column 0, and a button that's located at row 1, column 1. Do this one. Layout row span, layout column span. Okay, so that lets you have things that span multiple columns and rows. So, oops. So I add another button. I'll have it span 2 columns. So this will be at row 2, column 1. Span. Oh. Column span. So it'll be row 2, column 0. It's not XY, it's more like YX, huh? It's row column. So I have it here, and I have it told to span 2 columns, and it's not spanning 2 columns, right? So it looks like it's just 1 column. What this does, span column span allocates space for it, but it doesn't actually take up that space. You need the gravity. This is the gravity thing. So, and again, this gravity thing is applicable to other layouts as well. It's just that here is where it's useful, right? So I can use center, right? See, the space that's allocated, it's allocated the column 0 and column 1 spaces. I'm centering it here. Or fill. Okay, different fills. Fill now this way. Now you see it spanning 2 columns. It's filling up all the space that's being allocated. So once again, column span, also row span allocates the space, but it doesn't fill it up. Okay, you need gravity to make it fill up. So let me do something that span 3 rows, just to complete the example. Right, so it needs to be row 0 and column, the 3rd column, right? There. Oh, there we go. Row span. So there I guess I have this thing that spans of 3 different rows. Okay, just demonstrate the row span and space. Okay, so let me simplify this example, and let me simplify back to the 2 buttons, right? So I press the delete key. I press save it. Okay. So I have 2 buttons. 0, 0, 0, and 1, 1. Let me make it 1, 2. Row 1, column 2. Right, this is a row 1, column 0. Right, so as you can see that this is column 0, this is column 2, and there's like no space in between because Android doesn't allocate any space. Okay, if you want blank space, you need a space tag. And this is not just grid layout, it's the same thing with linear layout too. You can use the margin thing, but then things might not line up, right? So in the grid world, in the grid layout world. So let me put a space tag, and we just have 40 dp, give it some width, and a row 0, and then column. This is the important part, column 1, right? Because there's this thing at column 0, there's a button at column 0, there's a button at column 2, there's nothing at column 1. So that's why Android didn't allocate any space. Okay, so that's what the space tag is for. To allocate space. Android does not allocate any space at all for rows and columns. You stuff a space object in there to create spaces. Okay, and I really think grid layout combined with linear layout is all you need. Yeah, grid layout basically is used for lining things up so they look like really organized, instead of chaotic. And within the grid layout, within different grids, within each cell, like within this cell, you can use a linear layout. But there's a whole bunch of layouts, right? Let me go. So this is the Android developer site. API guides. Actual references. The layout. How many layouts are there? Layouts. Lots of stuff, huh? They mentioned, well, these two, list view and grid view, they're not layouts. I'll cover them in another section. They're not really layouts. They're like a layout control, what I call it. It's a control of a layout file. But Android, the guide here, the API guide talks about linear layout and relative layout. So I'll mention that too. Oh, this slide. I'll mention relative layouts and pay some lip service, right? Like I mentioned previously, because they mentioned it, and because the API guy mentions it, and also it seems to be kind of popular in the various examples. Table layout, I'll just briefly mention that grid layout thing that I used. It's only available in API level 14, right? So go back there. Oh, go back. That's why I changed its number from 8 to 14. Okay, so before API level 14, the closest equivalent to grid layout is the table layout, and it's not as good, so don't bother with it. So this is just there for historical reference. This is important because prior to grid layout, that's what people have to use. So talk about the grid relative layout example. So I just relative layout. This one, of course, none of these apply. They don't have rows and columns anymore, right? Oh, and this has to change too. I'll have two buttons. I'll call them like number 1, number 2. I guess number 1. And these don't make sense anymore because you're not in a grid anymore. So I have two buttons. They're all like on top of each other. Okay. So for the first element, you need to the first element is anchored relative to the parent. Let me just comment this out for now. Oh, there we go. Okay, so the very first one, well, they were layered on top of each other. So, okay, the very first one by default is hooking up here, but you can change that. You can align it to somewhere else with this align parent thing. So there's align parent, all these align parent. So remember, it's top left, right? So let's make it top right. Right, it's, you have true or false, basically. All right, let's make it bottom right. Just showcase this one. Okay, all the way down here, bottom right here. So let me take this away. So we go back to top right. Okay. So that's how you do the first one. Oh, you can use margin to sort of shift it down if you want. Like if I want to shift it down, I can do that, I guess. I just drag it there. But how they're doing it, they're using the margin. Yeah, they're using the margin property to shift it. So if I just want to shift it in, so remember 160 is 1 inch, right? So this is like 40, it's like 1/4 of an inch here. The green arrow is like 1/4 of an inch. Okay, so that's how I shift it. That's how I position the first one, using a combination of line parent and margin. And then the second element I position the second element relative to the first element. So that's the basic of this control. You can align it to the parent. That's one strategy. And your second way of doing it is you can align one control relative to another control. So I'll show you this one. So align to left off. There's multiple versions. This used to be on the bottom. The editor, when I drag the button down, the editor moved it. Okay, so button number 2. So what's that? Oh, what did I say? To left off. To left off. Well, I want it to be left of this one, so I need to give it an ID. So that's how you do it. ID. Like this. Like this one. Put a mouse over it. Okay, better highlighting. Okay, this one refers to an ID. This one declares an ID. So this is my first. I'm declaring that this button is called button 1. Okay, here I need to refer to an ID. Okay, so I don't use this. I use this. Okay. So again, I'm referencing another thing. So this is notation. No plus sign. Okay, this one had plus sign because I'm creating an ID. So you see, number 2 is to the left of the number 1 now, and you need to align the baseline sometimes. Okay, in this case, these number 2 seems to align on number 1, right? Okay. Let me make number 1 all tall, right? Because height is match parent. This will make number 1 like this, right? So number 2 is not really aligned with number 1 anymore. The text is not aligned. So what that thing does, the line baseline thing. This is how you align the text. Oh. Right. So I added this line, align align baseline. Too many lines. Okay, align baseline. Oh, see, so number 2 now align with number 1. See that green line thing. And that's how you use a relative layout in a nutshell.